Dear Sangha, today is the 5th of January in the year 2025. It's the last day of mindfulness, the last Dharma Talk of the 3 months rain retreat, and at the same time, it's the first day of mindfulness and the first Dharma Talk of the new year. I thought this was very interesting. It seems like the two events from the past and the future are converging right here and now. And I thought if I were running a race, the Boston Marathon or 26K, something like that, which certainly I'm not capable of doing. However, if I crossed the finish line first, then I don't think anyone would say that I was the last one. And if I were the last person to come to the finish line, I don't think anyone would say I was the first. So in terms of space and time, first and last and first seem to be quite distant, quite separate. However, a sister said to me, don't worry, it's all about the present moment. So whether first or last, everything happens in the present moment. So I would like to share just a little bit, it may be a review to many of you about the practice of the present moment and how Thay has taught the world the joy, the benefits of living in the present moment, to the extent that Plum Village has been called the country of the present moment. But how do we live in the present moment? There are 2 basic practices that we do, and the first one is really the practice that Thay recommended that we all make part of our lives, both here and then when we return to the next place we're going to, the next destination. That is the walking meditation. And we remember Thay said that if you come to Plum Village and walking meditation is not something that you have enjoyed or that you're doing, then it seems as if you haven't come to Plum Village. So he thought it was such an important practice to be able to bring our mind home to the present moment, the here and now. And we learned that at the root temple, the acting abbot for many, many, many years was the Venerable Chi Mao. And he would report something that was very interesting and something that Thay enjoyed hearing. He said that when visitors came to the root temple, the Tu Hieu temple in Hue, Vietnam, and he saw the visitors, tourists, whatever, walking into the temple, he knew by the way they walked that they were students of Thay. So this is very touching. So the way we walk has an impact, has an effect on the environment and certainly on us. It brings our mind to the present moment, and we can let go of the thinking and speaking while walking. We like to walk peacefully on the earth right now. I'm aware of placing one foot on the earth, then I place another foot on the earth, and I walk with gentleness and peace. I can do it here. And we know that in other parts of the earth, the earth body, there is violence, there is war. And Mother Earth receives everything because of gravity, yes? The missiles may be sent, whatever is put out, because of gravity, it will land on Mother Earth. So we have the good conditions of walking peacefully and offering our love to Mother Earth where we are right now. And all our ancestors will be walking with us, and so the whole strength and force of our ancestors, through us, we're creating peaceful steps on Mother Earth. The other practice, the basic practice, is mindful breathing. And breathing in, I experience my in-breath. Breathing out, I'm aware I'm breathing out. And Thay often would say, breathing in, I know I am alive. Breathing out, I smile to life in me and around me. So being able to smile is a practice of a bodhisattva. We don't have to do great things to be a bodhisattva. It's just to have the wish to offer happiness, remove suffering, and sometimes a smile is enough. I remember when I was a novice nun, just ordained, everything was so new. And most of the time I didn't know what to do or how to do it, afraid of making a mistake. And it was the kindness of a sister, Vietnamese sister, who would see whatever expression was on my face. I couldn't see it, but she saw it. And she said one simple thing to me, almost every day. She said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm okay." These were beautiful words, "I'm okay." You know, a smile, a simple question, "Are you okay?" This is the heart of a bodhisattva. So when we have our mindful breathing as our refuge to create relaxation, to let go of the tension, to give our mind a rest from the thinking, the non-stop thinking. When mindful breathing is this refuge, we are energized. And this capacity to return to our breathing, to the island within ourselves, is really so wonderful in difficult moments. What are some of the difficult moments that we face? It could be our emotions, fear, of anger, of worry. And when our mindfulness energy recognizes, I'm having a strong emotion right now, the first practice, mindful breathing. Stop. Breathe in and out. Thay wrote calligraphy. One of the most helpful calligraphies was, "Breathe, my child. It'll be okay." And that was the Dharma Talk. Thở đi con. Breathe, my child. It will be okay. So we have practices, very simple practices, that get us through the day, through our life. And they are practices that can be done by anyone, anywhere on the planet. We don't have to be Buddhists. We can be practicing in other traditions, and yet they are available for all. We're very fortunate that Thay loved music. And one of the ways that sound has been brought into our lives is that instead of putting up the red sign that we see in many cities and towns, the stop sign or the red light, Thay has given us the sound of the bell, the sound. And when we hear the sound of the bell, we stop, we slow down, we come back and create this place of safety within ourselves with the mindful breathing. So the sound of the bell we hear throughout the whole day, inside and outside. Yeah. Another wonderful practice for us to enable us to be able to let go. The capacity to let go is important, I think, in many situations, and I believe throughout our life. And here we begin to learn the practice, slowing down, stopping, and letting go of what? My thinking of the past, and whatever happened in the past, and maybe it wasn't happy, I let go. Or worrying about the future. Oh, where will I go? What will my life be like? We stop, we breathe, we let go, and we come back to the here and now, the present moment. And Thay said, that is where life is available, only in the present moment. So now, I'm going to invite all of us to be masters of the practice of mindful breathing. So throughout the talk, we'll have moments of pausing, coming back to ourselves, breathing and relaxing. And I propose this could be a minute, a moment where we're going to hear the sound of the bell. Be aware of breathing in and breathing out. Are you willing? Do you want to try just breathing? You know, I say it for my sake as well. And probably that's the honest reason. It gives me a chance to look at my notes, where am I? And so, but please join me in the practice of mindful breathing when we hear the sound of the bell. So, dear friends, how do you feel after you've had a moment to breathe in and out? Do you notice any difference? If you do, then this will encourage you to continue to breathe in and out. You have, we say, evidence that it works. The practice is based on evidence. That breathing is a way of relaxing and letting go of tension. During the 3 months of the Rains Retreat this year, we were returning to Thay's teachings from the winter retreat of 2012 and 2013 called Soulmate of the Buddha. Who knows what a soulmate is? Please raise your hand. Okay, well then I can continue. Are you a soulmate to anyone else? No, not too many. That's okay. Is anyone your soulmate? Raise your hand. Okay, so it's warming up. You know, the bidirectional soulmate condition is preferable to the one direction, right? So, in this retreat, or Thay called the retreat "Soulmate of the Buddha," and I thought it would be interesting to learn how is soulmate defined. So, of course, I went online, and here is some of the definitions of soulmate. Your soulmate understands and connects with you in every way and on every level, which brings a sense of peace, calmness, and happiness when you are around them. Sounds like your mentor, doesn't it? Hopefully. All right, it continues. That was just an in-house joke. All right. Another definition is an ideally matched companion with a profound spiritual connection, providing a sense of deep understanding and completeness. So very, very short definitions. Very nice. And then a much longer definition of a soulmate that describes a soulmate, bilateral soulmate relationship is a person with whom you have an immediate connection. That means you may meet and it's love at first sight, something like that. You didn't plan it, you didn't schedule it. It's not on your monthly calendar. Immediate connection. The moment you meet a connection so strong that you are drawn to them in a way you have never experienced before. As this connection develops over time, you experience a love so deep, strong and complex, that you begin to doubt that you have ever truly loved anyone before this time. All right, so this is a deeper and more extended definition. Please don't feel bad if you don't have this. We've been in the monastery for 3 months, and now we're considering that the Buddha is our soulmate, or at least we're asking, can I be the soulmate of the Buddha? Can I have this love and respect and connection with the Buddha through the teachings and through Thay, who gave us the teachings? So, I'm going to cough. If you would like to have a sip of water while I'm having a sip of water, please do so. Please feel free to have a sip of a warm beverage, because the weather is quite damp and cold. So, in my reflecting on being a soulmate of the Buddha, I imagined a conversation with the Buddha. I imagined that I was going to converse with the Buddha. And I asked the Buddha, "Dear world-honored one, dear respected Buddha, will you accept me as your soulmate?" And I want to say, for those of you who are following different paths, you can ask the same question if you wish, to Jesus, to Allah, to God, or other spiritual masters in your life. Will you accept me? And the Buddha replied, I imagined, "My child, please share with me your practices, especially those that you do in the early morning. Please tell me your mindfulness practices that you do early in the day to start your day." So then I thought of the practices that I do personally, and I simply want to share just a few of them, very simple. I start the day before actually getting out of bed, and I say the waking up gatha. So as part of our practice, we memorize these gathas that Thay has written to help us bring the mind to the present moment, to be aware what our hands are doing, our body is doing, and it develops our concentration, mindfulness, and then understanding. Very short poems. And they're found in Thay's book called Present Moment, Wonderful Moment. The first one, "Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live them mindfully and to look on all beings with eyes of compassion." So compassion is the practice word I hear and I say, because I know in the world where there is war, where there is suffering, there is very little compassion. And I light a candle. The candle can represent peace. It's the light of hope. Candle is used in many spiritual traditions to offer warmth and light and hope. So compassion and peace and the light of a candle are part of an early morning practice. I see many of our sisters do this before sitting even. They're at their desk, they're doing a morning meditation, and there's a candle. And I know a candle was also part of Thay's practice. So compassion means we want to remove the suffering, to offer a soulagement, relief from suffering. And we can do this simply with the heart of compassion, the wish to help others. The second gatha I say, now this is just my morning waking up. I make my bed, okay? It's always a good practice. Here is the gatha. I make my bed with joy, so my life becomes tidy. Body and mind restrained, so afflictions fall away. And I thought, well, that's a pretty easy way to have my afflictions go away. I just make my bed. And it's true that coming back to your room after a full day and your bed is made, well, you feel a bit better. something is smooth and has received some kind of your attention. Now, for me, the key words in this, body and mind restrained. So it's the restraint that will help me be aware of my afflictions, such as, choose your afflictions. It could be irritation, anger, habit of criticizing, finding fault, rushing. Whatever these emotional obstacles we experience, could be the afflictions that I recognize I'm transforming with my practice of restraint. And that may mean simply practicing more silence, maybe not speaking so much. We have the mindfulness trainings and our precepts that originally were worded more than 2,600 years ago in the form, I will refrain from killing. That means I will restrain myself from killing. I will refrain from stealing. I will refrain from lying. I will refrain from sexual misconduct and refrain from taking alcohol. So the early form of the mindfulness trainings was worded in the sense of, I will not do these acts. I will not speak that way. So we know Thay revised the mindfulness trainings and helps us be aware of suffering right away, aware of suffering caused by, and then Thay will give us ways to practice proactively. All right? That means we learn how to speak, how to consume in healthy ways. But I make my bed with joy because my day is going to start with my awareness of I can restrain myself. And this is the mindful manners that all of us are learning and practicing the best we can. So, all right, that's enough, I think. Oh, one more with the restraint is we're aware of the 6 sense organs, right? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and thinking. Well, so there's something called appropriate attention. Yes, I can restrain myself from inappropriate contact with something that's going to water my seed of anger, craving, fear. Okay? Appropriate attention. I will restrain myself from looking at too much of the world news, restraining too much of the watering of my seeds that will create suffering, but also restrain myself from watering the seeds of suffering in others. So it's selective watering, restraining habit energies that can create suffering. Now, the third gatha. Takes me a long time to start the day, doesn't it? But I'm giving you the third gatha. I go to the bathroom, finally I brush my teeth. The gatha for that is brushing my teeth and rinsing my mouth. I vow to speak purely and lovingly. When my mouth is fragrant with right speech, a flower blooms in the garden of my heart. And I believe the Chinese character for heart is also the mind. So the flower is blooming both in my mind and my heart. So this is about a reminding for me to be aware of how I speak and to use loving speech, that doesn't have judgment or criticism or blaming. And when my heart is fragrant with these kind words, supportive words, then my mind is also kind. And at this point you can do a metta meditation, send your love to all beings on this planet that are suffering, yourself and your friends, your family members. So these three are my morning practice that I said to the Buddha in my imagined conversation with the Buddha. And the Buddha said, "My child, very good. Please continue your practice." And continue to share what other practices the Buddha has offered that are helpful. Let us enjoy a pause. We'll give our mind a vacation now. Do you know it's possible? We'll listen to the sound of the bell, and we will just breathe in and out. Shall we hear a sound of the bell? So one day Ananda, who was the Buddha's attendant, asked the Buddha, Buddha, is friendship important in the practice? Is it maybe half of the practice to have a good spiritual friend? And the Buddha said, noble friendship is the entire holy life. So having a good spiritual friend is very supportive. And this spiritual friend is called the Kalyana Mitra. And I'm going to write that on the board. And Sister Tang Han is my attendant and a very good spiritual friend. I thank you very much. So the Mitra, Kalyana Mitra, is the Sanskrit word for a spiritual friend. It comes from, the word Maitri is in it, and the word Maitri means kindness, goodness. I think that's enough. That your friend is really supportive and in so many ways, and cares about you, your health, your practice, your well-being. And having a Kalyana Mitra is is pretty easy here. We talk about the having friends along the path, your roommate, your group of working together on your rotation team. You support one another. You're together. You eat your meals together. So this is what is meant. It doesn't have to be very complex, or you don't sign any contract. It's pretty free, and it develops. We talk about brotherhood, sisterhood, siblinghood. So this is the Kalyana Mitra. We've been practicing together for 3 months, and I believe it has developed. Within the families, you have the sense of friendship, understanding, listening, offering kind words to one another, flower watering, yes? Or if we make mistakes, we say, I'm sorry, I forgot something, I didn't mean to hurt you. So the Kalyana Mitra really includes all of our practices. The beginning anew, the Dharma sharing, where we share from our heart, the listening deeply. And yes, it's wonderful to know that we have a Sangha, a community. And for some of you who will be moving on, think of creating such a group for yourself. You can have one other practitioner, one other friend, and you will simply enjoy walking meditation, enjoying a meal together, mindfully, guided meditation. So we can create these groups of friends for ourselves. Now everything changes, so sometimes this Kalyana Mitra experience changes, and it's human, it's normal, things change. And I want to mention one thing. In terms of Kalyana Mitra, in the Christian tradition, Jesus spoke about this in a similar way. He said, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as Kalyana Mitra friends, that you love one another even as I have loved you. And by this all men will know that you are my disciples. My disciples, please have love for one another, something like that. So it was the same spirit that Jesus spoke of, I think 500 years after the Buddha is talking about Kalyana Mitra, that you love one another as I have loved you. And when people see that you love one another, they will know you are my disciples. And people will know we're students of Thay, disciples of Thay and the Buddha by the way we walk, we speak, that we have the virtue of the practice of the mindfulness trainings. Yeah. So sometimes what interferes with this wonderful togetherness is that we begin to think we are a separate self. It's like, I don't need anybody, like, leave me alone. That's one extreme. We don't realize our connections on a deep level. And we hear before the chanting begins, Thay has written a contemplation. The Sangha is invited to come back to our breathing, so our collective energy of mindfulness will bring us together as an organism, going as a river. All the molecules of water follow. There isn't one that's saying, no, I don't want to go. No, we go as a river. with no more separation. Let the whole Sangha breathe as one body, chant as one body, listen as one body, and transcend the boundaries of a delusive self, separate self, meaning a separate self. And when we have a separate self, it's very easy to become, I don't want to say victim, but to believe in the three complexes: superiority, inferiority, or equality. So we can liberate ourselves from the superiority, inferiority, or equality complex by being together. And we do this with the music, with the sound. And it's when we're singing or playing instruments together. We have brothers and sisters who are truly musicians as well. The violin, the cello, the guitar, the drum, and there's no one leading them. They are beautifully together making the sounds. There's no conductor. And we also find this within our own body, the physiology of our body. In the brain, there are numerous connections. The heart and the lungs are working. The whole body is functioning without a boss saying, do this, do that. It's complete interbeing. Neurotransmitters, there's so much happening. The heart beating, the kidneys are working, the liver. It's a miracle, but it's interbeing. Now, in our relationships, sometimes when we get a little bit caught up in being a separate self, then the complications arise. I want to tell you a story about peanut butter cookies. Thay liked peanut butter cookies. He was introduced to them when he went to the United States for one of the tours. And yes, he liked peanut butter cookies. So he gave us some teachings about separate self and how that can be manifested. So, to make peanut butter cookies, you may know you need the flour, you need the peanut butter, maybe some kind of sweetener, brown sugar, honey, maple syrup. We're making vegan cookies. Okay, oil, I don't know, coconut oil, something, salt. And maybe if you want to add a little non-dairy milk, almond milk, or something, you can. The key is it gets stirred up. All the flour, it all gets stirred up. Then you take a spoon and you put the dough on the tray to bake the cookies. And I think you press them down. All right, so they are separate little identities on the tray. And then it goes into the oven, the cookies are baked, and they come out. So Thay described one situation where a peanut butter cookie, move over, brother, I'm bigger than you. So the peanut butter cookies had these complexes. I'm a bigger peanut butter cookie than you. Boom, move over. Now, do we do this in our lives in some way? It's the comparing mind, or we don't feel as good as the other. I'm not as important. He or she, sings better than me. It's the idea of comparison. But the reality is, we all came from the same mixing bowl. But we forget. We think we are separate identities. We all have the same nose, ears, eyes. like water and the waves in the ocean. One wave will think, I'm a higher wave than this wave. Another wave will think, oh, I'm a small wave, I don't count. But the truth is, they all come from the water. And the water herself, the ocean, looks at all the waves and she says, oh, my darling waves, you're high, you're low, but you're all me. So this is the teaching, that we are not separate self, and we really are. There is interbeing. So things will change, the waves come and go. Peanut butter cookies have a very short lifespan. After the oven, they're no longer soft glob, they're crunchy, they're cooked, and they have a transformation episode where they go into an empty stomach, and then they are transformed. So the idea of emptiness is that every formation is made from everything else. A peanut butter cookie is empty of a separate self. It is made from the flour, the peanut butter, the sugar, the oil. It's empty. And then it goes to an empty stomach, and wow, what happiness for the person who enjoys the peanut butter cookie. And we are the same. We are empty. We're made from our ancestors, our life experience. We're made from our Sangha, from the teachings of the Buddha. All of this contributes to who I am. I'm empty of a separate self. So, let's enjoy another vacation, a mental break for another sound of the bell, and then we'll continue. So there is change and impermanence. I don't think we can deny that. Reflect on the seasons, the phases of the moon, the sun. There is change. There is impermanence. And I've been in touch with the interdependent nature of the simple pieces of wood in the wood pile. This is like this because that is like that. If I remove one piece of wood from the pile to make the morning fire, the whole pile will shift. The other pieces of wood will move as well. So there is the links of cause and effect. This is like this because that is like that. The wood pile fell down because I removed a key piece of wood. This being that is. There is also the sense in which we can look at things happening at the same time. For example, the song and the singer, they manifest at the same time. Without the singer, a song just remains notes on a piece of paper. The song needs the singer. The singer needs the song in order to sing. They need each other. Or the bell inviter and the bell. If there is no bell inviter, the bell will sit there endlessly, waiting for the bell inviter to invite the bell. If the bell inviter doesn't have a bell to invite, the bell inviter, piece of wood, just sits there, unemployed. But when the two are able to meet, we have the contact and the beautiful sound of the bell. So we inter-are with all phenomena, and all phenomena inter-are with one another. There is no permanent self-identity of any phenomena. I'd like us to hear a part of a poem that will describe this in very beautiful language. It was written by John Donne in 1642, I believe. He was an English poet, and he wrote this poem when he was quite ill. It is part of the series called Meditations. I think it's number 17. And it talks about the fact that we really inter-are. So here it is, you may have heard it. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent. He lived in England, yeah. A part of the main. If a clod of earth be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less. That's true, yeah. As if also this would be true, as if your friend's house was washed away, or even if mine. The absence makes a difference. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind. Well, this is beautiful. This is the voice of a bodhisattva. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved with mankind. So we want to create peace in the world, and we feel very sad at the deaths, the destruction. And because we are involved, we're activists. The word activist means I'm involved with mankind. So it's really the call for understanding the importance of connection, of wanting to do our best to create peace. We may not be able to do it on the political level, but certainly within our own lives as practitioners, we can create peace in ourselves and peace in the world, as Thay has written and made many beautiful calligraphies. And then the poem ends, never send to know for whom the bell tolls. In England, in the time of John Donne, when the church bells were invited, it meant that someone passed away. It means that there was a death, and usually the young boy in the household was sent to the church to ask the vicar who died, who passed away. There wasn't radio or internet in those days, you know. So the little boy would go to the church and find out who passed away in the town. And the poem ends by, don't send anyone to ask for whom this bell is tolling. It tolls for thee. So it's the statement of, impermanence. Our lives are precious, And with our practice and our Sangha, we can create much beauty and we can create happiness, realizing that life is impermanent. I want to end this talk now. It's a short talk. How nice for everyone and for me. But it's a quote from Thay. Yeah. And I found it on Facebook yesterday. And I want to tell you, I don't have a Facebook account. But if you open it, they'll let you see something before the message comes, please sign in. So I can't sign in. But I keep opening the page, and then I saw it's a very pretty picture of Thay, a beautiful picture of Thay, and then this poem. So it's a way of concluding the 3 months Rains retreat, being a soulmate of the Buddha, appreciating the teachings the Buddha has given for us to know about mindfulness, to develop our capacity, to create peace in ourselves, peace in the world, to have guidelines for our daily lives in our mindfulness trainings, the 5 or the 14 or the monastic trainings. The Buddha was a great soulmate of ours, wanting to help us and being able, having the capacity to share his wisdom of the 4 Noble Truths and the 8 noble ways of practice that removes suffering, prevents suffering, and can bring happiness. So we're deeply grateful to the Buddha and of course to Thay. And we can also remember the metta, the discourse on love that the Buddha offered to his monks as a way of protection, protecting them in the forest when the tree spirits were not happy and created problems. So the Buddha gave the metta meditation for the monks to recite, and it calmed the spirit and the heart of the angry tree forests. And it's may you be happy and peaceful. May you be light in body and mind. May you be safe from accidents, illness, and injury. May you be free from your unwholesome mental formations, such as your anger, your fear, your anxiety. May you know how to look at yourself with understanding and love. And may you know how to recognize the sources of joy in yourself. And may you be able to identify the sources of suffering in yourself. May you be able to nurture and water the seeds of happiness in yourself. May you be able to live safe, happy, and free. And may you be able to be free from attachment and aversion, but not be indifferent. Don't be uncaring. And then it ends with this. This is the promising sentence. Free from wrong views. Okay, we know what wrong views are. Separate self, permanence. The right view is interbeing, non-self, emptiness, right view. Okay, free from wrong views. Greed. Okay, we're in the morning we're practicing restraint, our 5 contemplations. May we eat in moderation. Yeah, we can practice free from greed. Sensual desire. Again, it's restraining our 6 senses. Free from wrong view, greed, and sensual desire. Living in beauty. There is so much beauty around us. And when we live in the present moment with the beauty, those who practice boundless love, the metta, will certainly transcend birth and death. So, the metta practice is important for being able to transcend birth and death. And I think we're all on the path to practicing metta. I want to give you one very beautiful experience, a beautiful sharing that a venerable monk shared with us when we went to Vietnam, when Thay returned to Vietnam after 39 years, the year 2005. And the venerable monk and Thay had been brothers. They were brother monks. They were friends. They had practiced together and gone through so much together. And the venerable monk said to a group of us who were sitting there enjoying tea with him, what he said of Thay, he said, "You can trust him." And that was the greatest gift that anyone could have possibly given to us, the disciples. You can trust him. So trust is so important. And when we trust our own practice, when we trust our capacity to come back to the island within ourselves, to breathe mindfully in and out, to know when it's time to do the walking meditation, instead of arguing, fighting, no. I trust myself. The practice is very deep. The practice can transform. So trust is a very important word in our life as practitioners. We can trust Thay, we can trust the Buddha, we can trust our Sangha. So now we'll close with the poem that was available on Facebook yesterday. I don't know. And it didn't give the source, so I'm very sorry. I can't tell you where Facebook got it. But I share it with you now. Okay. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our mind. Let us return to ourselves and become wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being common to us all and to all living beings, evoking the presence of the great compassion, Avalokiteshvara. I vow to look on all beings with eyes of compassion. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and towards all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other, with humility and awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, happening everywhere. Let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on earth. Thich Nhat Hanh. So thank you, dear friends, for being with us today, the last day of the last Dharma Talk of the Rains Retreat and the first Dharma Talk of the new year. We hope something will be helpful to you as you continue, and that it has been an adequate closure of the 3 months rain retreat. The closing ceremony will be Tuesday after tomorrow in the Upper Hamlet, I believe. So let us enjoy the 3 sounds of the bell. I want to thank the translators this morning. Thank you very much, all of you, and to our bell master, to my attendant, and to all of you who listened. Thank you.